Today I will present the first part of our work, which focuses on the methodological framework of a multi-objective approach to simultaneous teaching in mathematical analysis. In undergraduate mathematics education, the topics of mathematical analysis are often taught in a fragmented way. Functions, limits, and improper integrals are usually introduced and practiced as separate methodological units. Consequently, functions defined by integral operators are typically postponed to later stages of education. This creates gaps in students' conceptual understanding and limits their ability to connect different analytical tools. When mathematical topics are taught sequentially and in isolation, students often experience cognitive overload. They are required to constantly switch between different concepts without seeing how these concepts are connected. As a result, the relationships between thematic units, such as functions, limits, and improper integrals, remain implicit or unclear. This lack of integration makes it difficult for students to build a coherent analytical framework. Therefore, there is a clear need for a teaching approach that supports structured knowledge construction and explicitly emphasizes the connections between related methodological units. The core idea of the proposed approach is the simultaneous teaching of function analysis and improper integrals. These two methodological units are traditionally taught separately, which often leads to fragmented understanding. Our approach is based on the partition of unity principle, interpreted here as a pedagogical framework rather than a purely analytical tool. This principle allows a complex mathematical problem to be decomposed into a finite number of manageable stages. Each stage corresponds to a specific methodological unit, enabling students to work systematically while maintaining a global view of the problem. From a pedagogical perspective, a multi-stage problem is designed as a single task that is deliberately decomposed into several interconnected sub-problems. Each sub-problem corresponds to a specific methodological unit and targets a particular analytical skill. An important feature of this approach is that difficulty or failure at one stage does not prevent the student from continuing with the remaining stages. In this way, students maintain engagement with the whole problem while gradually building understanding across different levels of analysis. In this approach, students work with the problem in a clearly structured, step-by-step manner. At each stage, they rely on theoretical units that have already been studied, such as limits, monotonicity, or properties of integrals. Students are encouraged to look for more than one possible solution or reasoning pathway for a given sub-problem. Through this process, they gradually become aware of the connections between different topics in mathematical analysis. This structured mode of work represents the main didactic value of the proposed approach. In our approach, integral-type functions serve as a natural framework for simultaneous teaching. We focus on functions defined by an integral with a variable upper limit of the form f of x is defined as the integral from a to phi of x, or f of t with respect to t. In many relevant cases, these functions do not admit elementary antiderivatives, which makes direct computation impossible. However, they remain suitable for complete analytical analysis using classical tools from calculus such as limits, monotonicity, and concavity. Importantly, this analysis can be carried out without numerical methods or computer-assisted techniques, which is essential for educational purposes. The method employs several classes of integral-type functions, including both rational and transcendental integrands. These functions are combined with different types of upper bounds to generate a wide variety of multistage problems. This table illustrates classes of integral-type functions with irrational integrands. The purpose of presenting it here is not to discuss individual functions, but to demonstrate the systematic construction of multistage problems. Each row represents a function that can be fully analyzed using classical tools from calculus despite the absence of an elementary antiderivative. The variation of the upper bound plays a key role as it allows the same integrand to produce different analytical behaviors. In this table, we extend the same idea to integral-type functions with transcendental integrands. These examples include logarithmic, exponential, and trigonometric expressions, which are commonly encountered in advanced calculus courses. Although the integrands are more complex, the functions remain suitable for complete analytical investigation without numerical methods or computer tools. The table demonstrates that the proposed method is not restricted to a narrow class of functions, but can be applied in a broad and flexible manner. Together, the two tables provide a structured source of example for designing multistage problems in mathematics education. The Basel problem is a classic example that is particularly valuable for an educational point of view. It admits a wide variety of solution approaches, which makes it suitable for illustrating the idea of multi-stage and multi-objective learning. In our work, the Basel problem serves as a basis for constructing a generator of related problems, rather than as a single isolated task. Through this perspective, students can explore connections between different areas of mathematics, including series, integrals, function analysis, and geometric interpretation. In Part 2, we demonstrate how this problem is used to implement the proposed method in concrete teaching scenarios. In Part 1, we have focused on the methodological foundations of the proposed approach. The emphasis was placed on the structure of the method and on the design of multi-stage problems based on integral-type functions. Part 2 moves from methodology to implementation. It presents concrete examples of how the approach can be applied in teaching practice through the detailed analysis of specific functions and the construction of instructional scenarios. In this way, the second part demonstrates how the theoretical framework introduced here can be translated into effective classroom applications. The proposed multi-objective approach addresses the problem of fragmentation in teaching mathematical analysis by integrating relating methodological units. It supports conceptual understanding by encouraging students to work with structured, multi-stage problems and to establish connections between different analytical tools. At the same time, the approach offers a flexible and scalable model for instructors, which can be adapted to different educational contexts and levels. Overall, this method provides a coherent framework that links methodology with teaching practice and prepares the ground for further implementation. Thank you for your attention.